Vlogtober day 19. Aloha, my beautiful ones. Today's prompt for the day is a moment of reflection. So I want to use that to do a little reflecting on yesterday, but also on what we spoke about yesterday. So yeah. So of course my day started off with a wonderful breakfast in the morning in the hotel that we were staying in. And then a beautiful walk with one of my colleagues home towards the home towards the train station, finding my train, getting on the train. And that's one of the things that I love about my spirit guides. About 5 minutes before arriving at the Ulm Hauptbahnhof, at the main train station of Ulm, I sort of get this nudge, this knowing, like, hey, why don't you check what happens if you change train here? Because the train that I was booked on was already running, I think, 15 minutes late, and it already said that it probably won't get the connection in Augsburg. So I sort of looked into it, and I see that there's a regional train. If I get off the train in Ulm, that I can get a regional train that will take me home at the same time. So I could either risk the train not getting in time to Augsburg and then having to wait there longer for a connecting train, or just get off the train right now. So basically, I packed my stuff, left the train in that moment. So this is like a thing of 5 seconds, right? I checked it. I feel like, okay, I'm going to do this. I get off of that train and realize I don't even have to find a different platform. I just have to walk to the other end of that platform that I was on. And I do that, and I find my seat. I have a wonderful, ride. And then on top of that, the train that I was using got me one train station closer home than the original one. So I did that. So I not only, I not only switched trains to arrive on time, I actually got home about 10 minutes earlier, which is crazy, but I loved it. And this is something that I love about being guided, because it's like this little nudge, that intuitive knowing that go check it out and see what happens. And, probably in other times I would have stayed, like, oh my God, but I booked this train. I need to be on this train right now. But no, that wasn't the thing, because I have that other ticket where I can, on a regional basis, I can just travel around Germany, and, having that in the back, in the back of your mind is very helpful. But the whole thing, it was just beautiful. And that's why I'm sharing it. It was just a beautiful moment of, hey, I got that nudge and I followed that nudge, that intuition. And it was the right thing, because of course I watched the other train, and of course it arrived later, and it would have been a whole ordeal. But because I listened to that nudge, that inspiration, that guidance, it turned out pretty awesome. So I had some time to hang out here, and then I went and did some, what's it called? Bow and arrow. I think it has a special name in English, but yeah, that's what I did in the afternoon. It's a hobby that I picked up this year, and I'm really enjoying it. It was very nice. I had to cut it a little short because we're still having friends over, so I wanted to be home in time to, have dinner with the family, and it was really nice as well. But yeah, so now after, the whole day, I got here and checked out the prompt for today, and it says a moment of reflection. And one of the things that I wanted to reflect on was, like I promised you yesterday, about the day yesterday, because it was really, in the beginning, at first, it felt like, oh my God, why am I here? Because the speakers that were there were sort of a little bit hard to listen to, especially for me, with my ADHD brain. It was like, dude, you guys are having you're not taking, it's not it's not speakers that actually take you with them in a journey when they speak. And So it was a little bit hard to follow. It was like, I'm not sure what you really like. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be hearing right now. Like, am I supposed to learn something from this? Like I'm not sure what your goal is. Are you supposed to inspire me? But then the second half was amazing, and it was beautiful for so many reasons, for so many different speakers as well. And of course, I realized that some of them were either, mixed race like I am, or mixed race by biography, because they had, moved to places in different ages. And so you have this different kind of view on things sometimes. And one of the things, because, and this is one of the things that I love about my friend, one of the friends that was there with me, in that, when we were having dinner, because she said, like, okay, so what were your 60 seconds? Like, what was your wow? Like, this is an amazing reminder to have. And for me, that was the sentence where one of the speakers said, I'm an immigrant child, and as an immigrant child, I was taught to be quiet, to not make noise, to just, be there and, integrate yourself into the culture that you just moved to. And it struck me, I don't want to say it struck me. Yes, it did strike me very hard in different kinds of ways, because of course I am an immigrant's child, but I'm also the child of someone who is actually, when we moved to Germany, I was half an immigrant child. When we lived in Ecuador, I was half an immigrant child, because one half of my parents was from that country and the other half wasn't. On top of that, my dad, doing the work that he did, being the explorer and the excited person that, goes to different countries to help with projects and stuff, you are taught to fit in everywhere, which is beautiful. But where do we fit in ourselves, right? It's sort of like whatever you are doesn't count right now, because now you're here and now we want you to integrate yourself into the culture where you're living. Of course, because that's how we were raised as children of a German person, to, always be mindful of the culture you're living, always be mindful with that. And I'm not saying it is because my dad's German, but that my German dad was the one that taught us, to do that, to be, to immerse yourself in the culture that you are visiting, right? And I find it beautiful to be able to do that, but where do I fit in? Where, and that was the thing that broke me. I think it's now, 12 years ago, when I had my big depression, where I had to ask myself, like, I'm afraid of being myself, but I don't even know who I am, right? And then another thing is, I'm very great, and this is one of the things that I say, I'm very grateful that ADHD, I'm too old to ever have received a diagnosis as a woman, in school, of the label of ADHD. So I never had that. But being an ADHDer my whole life, has always, and especially in this culture, has always had that impact on me, that I tried to fit into the, I'm going to call it the normies world, neurotypical people. And I'm still, like, if you saw my video from last week, that I have a highly question mark behind who decides what neurotypical is. But my whole life I have tried to change myself so that I could fit in a world that expects me to function in a neurotypical way, and I'm not. And that was so beautiful, again, to have that person yesterday to help me, remember that reflection, that no matter what, and this is what I set out to do for myself 7 years ago when I became, self-employed, and when I set up my whole online business, was that I wanted to be 100% able to be myself. It's still a cold, because if you're over 30, and I think at any age, but for me I was way over 30. We're talking about, hold on, let me think, I'm I turned 45 now. So this journey started around 12 years ago. I know that I'm close to who I am, 100% me, right? I would say I'm like 80% there. There's still moments where I feel like I'm still finding out, there are different kind of things, especially, when it comes to family, because, those are the ones that actually, changed us in the beginning. But, it's this whole working towards that and remembering to remind myself to be 100% myself. And that's one of the things that I love about the transformation that I've been through this year again as well. Because I know, like I remember back then in therapy how my therapist helped me to, combine all my multicultural sides, my 10 facets that I have, from being Chinese, from being Ecuadorian, from being German, to combine all of those. She said, like, you have this treasure within yourself because of the cultures. And we're not even talking about the additional cultures you got by the biography that I have, right? So I have that, but then I also have my ADHD that it allows me to love so many different kinds of things. I have this very big love for spiritual things, and I have this very big love for technology. And this year was the first time where I've noticed and I've realized, I am a cyber witch. I am using technology on spiritual level as well. So why do I need to separate it? And that's why this year was my, breaking free of that last bit in my business as well, because I was trying to separate it, but I can't separate myself in any kinds of ways. And that friend that was there yesterday was actually also one of the friends that taught me way back when I was, thinking about, becoming self-employed. That I remember she also said, like, you can't shut off or turn off your sides. They're all there. And I know it's like, oh man, wow, it took me another 7 years to actually finally be at a point where I'm like, okay, this is how I'm integrating it within my business as well. So I'm using all the treasures that I have within myself. And that was a beautiful way to see, on one hand, that I'm finally there, that it's like I'm coming home. I'm coming home to where I can, just be my true 100% self with my spiritual side, loving technology. I always thought that I have to separate those two things, but I don't have to. And neither have you. We don't have to separate any of our sides. We are all of those sides. And we're living in a day and era that it's possible for us to live all of our full potential, all of our sides, all of our facets, everything that we do. And so that was a beautiful reflection to have yesterday, and it's a beautiful reflection to have right now and to share with you. So I'm actually happy for this prompt for today's Vlogtober number 19. Wow, we're almost there. It's so exciting to have gone through the full moon and then this exciting meeting with people. Yes, I am a little bit energetically drained, so I'm very happy that tomorrow I will hopefully be able to do a cleanse and, sort of like reconnect myself with myself again. But yeah, that realization, that reflection was so beautiful, and I'm grateful to be here and to repeat it to you, my beautiful listener, my beautiful dream weaver, that no matter what you are, be 100% you, no matter what that looks like. If you have different facets that you love doing them as often as you can, because at some point you will see how it just becomes full circle and comes together, and it's important. And there's a reason why the universe created you uniquely with your different kinds of things that you love doing, just like it did with me. And I hope that inspires you to be even more you. With this said, my beautiful soul, as always, stay magical, and I hope to see you tomorrow.